And when they cut loose on them deer, they go till it runs dry. You know what I mean? Boom, 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 boom. The deer just keeps on going. Anyways, that's a whole other story. This, if you like wilderness type stuff, this is my whole, I thought about being Jeremiah Johnson, you know, just walking away. Final Frontiersman, very good book. Not at the top of my list, but this also is the same deal. It's basically men going into the true wilderness, the Alaskan and Yukon wilderness, and just disappearing. Very good book. Good writers too, by the way. Now, and of course, everybody's going to know who Theodore Roosevelt is, or they dang well should. Everybody reads the other one, which we'll come to. It's in here somewhere. But this one also is very good. I think that other one's African Game Trails. I'm not sure. We'll come to it in a second. But same deal. You will not be bored. Let me tell you. He barely made it out of there. Barely made it out of there alive. And, well, read it. Read it. It is fascinating. Fascinating. Okay. So, wow, I don't know if we want to get into, I guess we have to. All right, so, complete book of shooting, rifle, shotguns, handgun. Look, Jack O'Connor. Now, where I'm standing right at this very moment is less than 5 miles away from the Jack O'Connor Center, which is the Jack O'Connor Museum, basically. And actually, we are going to be there this weekend because there's a banquet there. I think it's the 17th banquet. They took all of Jack O'Connor's trophies and his books and his boots and his hats and his guns and everything, and they made a museum out of it. And if you are anywhere if you're anywhere, make a trip to the Jack O'Connor Center, and literally, it's bizarre. You know, you'll read a story, Big Ram of Pilot Mountain, and you walk into you just get done reading the story. The story's like, I'm making this stuff up because I can't remember, 1956, and he shoots this ram. You walk in the Jack O'Connor Center, and it's hanging on the wall. The exact one that you just read the story from 70 years ago. It is so cool. And I mean, his tigers and things. There's things in there that you cannot do now. You just can't do it because it's a different time, a different place. I mean, they have his panniers. They have. Okay, so of course, the camera overheated and the battery went dead exactly when we didn't want it to go dead, which, I mean, obviously we don't want it ever to go dead, but it quit on me right as I started into Jack O'Connor. So, as I was saying, the Jack O'Connor Center is here in Lewiston, Idaho. You got to go. You got to go. If you're a Jack O'Connor fan, if you're just a hunter fan, you got to go. So I think I covered that all before the camera went dead. So hopefully I did. But here we go. So Jack O'Connor, complete book of shooting, really good. But these aren't my favorite. Hilo, get over here. Okay. So there's that. This. The Lost Classics of Jack O'Connor is excellent. Absolutely excellent. You know, this is just a whole bunch of his stories from outdoor life. And the cool thing is, you know, they show the date. Oh, now what's the chance of that? The Big Ram of Pilot Mountain. January, and I'm honest, guys, I didn't plan that. I probably, because I've read it so many times, the book is just kind of, the binder's broken right there. But what I was saying is, so you can sit here and read The Big Ram of Pilot Mountain from January 1951, and it's past business hours now, but you can get in the car, and you can drive straight down there, and you can see the rams. It is so cool. So anyways, if you don't, first of all, everybody should know Jack O'Connor. And if you don't, you really should. And you should read his books. Take that, Hilo. So this one also is another really good one. And some of these are even older. The stories are even older. I'll just look real quick here and see if I can see anything. By the way, I never met Jack O'Connor. Well, again, I guess I should explain that. So we're in Lewiston, Idaho. Well, that's where Jack O'Connor lived. He moved from Arizona to Lewiston, Idaho. And that's why the center's here. I mean, we drive by his house, his old house, all the time. But a lot of these are even from the 40s, you know, and it's just, there's a lot of things you could say about Jack O'Connor. And funny, I know people in this town, there's guys who come in this shop that knew him, like actually knew him even when they were, no, none of them were older men because they're, you know, he died. I think he died in 78, but they knew him. And so, people will say different things about him. The thing I will say about him is there are very few people ever in the history of the world that could put words together in a more eloquent way that takes you with him. I mean, the thing about Jack O'Connor's stories, especially his best ones, is it's not him telling you a story, it's you going with him. I mean, he was definitely one of the best. There's no doubt about that. This is another one. And one thing, these books all have awesome pictures in it. So this is the best of Jack O'Connor. And again, it's just a whole compilation of a whole bunch of different stories and stuff. But the pictures, let's see if I can find some. The pictures are so cool. I mean, again, I know you can't see that on camera. These cameras are crap for this kind of stuff. But, I mean, it's just amazing. It's amazing stuff that you can, like that tiger right there. I don't know if it's that exact one, but you can go down there right now and you can see that tiger. I'm pretty sure that it is that exact one. And I think Eleanor shot a really huge doll ram. Here, right here. There's another tiger right there. Eleanor shot a really huge doll ram. And look, okay, this is what's so cool to me. Okay, here's Jack O'Connor in his house. Well, these same heads right now are just right down the road. They're just right down the road. Let me see if I can find that really big doll ram with Eleanor. Oh, I don't know where it is, but it's in here somewhere. But when you go down there and see it in person, wow, it's really something. Okay, hello, take that. Now, it's interesting. We're going to go from Jack O'Connor right to his nemesis, Elmer Keith. And I guess from things I've heard that he really was his nemesis. This book, of the 1,500, and I have 2 of these, okay? This one is sealed, and I'm not going to open it. You see how beat up this one is because I've read it, and of course I lend it to guys, and they beat it up, but there's something here that's important for me to say. You might see this first line, the river of no return. Okay, and we're going to get into that over there in a little bit. So, Elmer Keith was amazing. Same deal. I never met him. I never actually met the guy. Like I said, I think he died. He died in 79 or 80 or 83, maybe, something like that. But I've seen all his stuff also. I've seen all his stuff. It used to be in a sporting goods store down in Boise, and then they moved it over to the Boise. There was like a little museum to Elmer Keith, and they had all his stuff. They had his heads, they had his guns, and it was really amazing. So the thing about this book is he makes predictions. It's almost like he was a prophet. He makes predictions that are so amazing that by the time you get to the end of the book, it's all happened. It's all happened. He predicted every single thing. He predicted the decline of all of the hunting, especially in Idaho, because Idaho is not even a shadow of what it is. Probably the one thing in this story that jumps out at me is he lived over in the North Fork of the Salmon, and I lived at Riggins, which is at the other end of the Salmon. That's where the Salmon River comes out of the mountains. And he said that they used to float through there on big wooden scows, which I've seen them. The actual ones were down at Riggins. And he's talked about counting mule deer. So he says in here, and again I'm paraphrasing, he said, I got up in the morning, I thought I would count mule deer today and see how many I would see. By noon, he had counted 1,000 mule deer. And he said, I got tired and I quit counting. Let me tell you something. You could go up and down the Salmon River right now in a jet boat every day for 1,000 straight days, and you'd be lucky to see 1,000 deer. It's just, our game population is horrible, and it's because of the wolves. Okay, but this is an awesome book, and it's kind of interesting. So I ended up at Riggins, Idaho, is where I lived for a very long time before we came up here to Lewiston for this business, and it's because of these men. It's because of Jack O'Connor. It's because of Elmer Keith. I mean, if you haven't read Elmer Keith, I mean, the Jack O'Connor, Elmer Keith, they're giants. Okay, take that. Now, this is interesting. Careful.
One at a time.
Be very careful.
Yeah.
Okay, how many people know this name? They definitely should. So Bob Hagel was a companion, an associate of Elmer Keith. They knew each other quite well. They both lived in Idaho. They did things together, went hunting together, stuff like that. This also is an excellent book. And Bob Hagel was just a really practical, pragmatic type of shooter, hunter, writer. And there's one thing in here, and I use this myself quite a lot now, and it's probably what I consider to be his best quote. He says, "You don't want a rifle / cartridge that works when everything goes right. What you want is one that works when everything goes wrong." And guys make fun of me because we'll talk about elk cartridges, and I say to them, elk cartridges start at 338 wing mag with 250 grain bullets. And they're like, "What do you mean you can kill an elk with a 243? Yes, of course you can kill an elk with a 243. If he's standing broadside 100 yards away and you don't hit a rib and you end up hitting him right in the top of the heart and he falls over dead. I get that. But what happens when he's in timber and he's facing directly away from you and he's looking back over his shoulder and it's a true herd bull? I mean, the dang thing weighs 950 pounds. He's a giant 7-point, and the only shot you have is his right hip, and you expect the bullet to come out his left shoulder. Okay? You ain't doing that with a 243. I'm sorry. And I know men that hunt. I never was a timber hunter, but you know, a lot of the guys that lived, the old guys that lived down at Riggins, whenever I lived there, guess what they used? 375 H&H with 300 grain partitions. Okay? And that's how you get the job done. And believe me, they don't walk away from that. So anyways, Bob Hagel, I just love his quote. Take this, please. Okay, now, Ed Zern. I love Ed Zern. Ed Zern, he wrote for a lot of the outdoor magazines, but Field and Stream, I believe, I can't remember actually, it's been so long. But there's a story right here. What the heck is it? I gotta find this for a second, guys. I know I'm burning up camera time here, but I gotta find this. I should have marked this. How to shoot crows. How to shoot crows is absolutely hilarious. And if you've ever hunted crows, and I hunted crows seriously with a shotgun also, let me tell you something. Crows are smart. If you can kill crows with a shotgun, everything else is actually pretty darn easy. But there is the best story in this whole thing is, you can probably look this up online, maybe. I think it's like one of the very last ones. The wolf story. So you have to read Wolf's Story. It's on page 293, and you know what? It's so good, I almost feel like reading it. But the thing is, it would take 10 minutes. It is hilarious. Okay? I'm going to give, if I can find it, I'm going to give the ISBN number of this too, because you're not going to be able to find this just anywhere. So it's ISBN 1-59228-041-2. And here's this book. This book, that story, the wolf story, is worth the price of this book. Here, take that. Okay, now some of these are just random books. Like I said, you know, I can't keep everything. And I generally try to keep the ones I like the best, and sometimes I don't even remember why. Africa, this is from Sporting Classics. Really, really good African type stories, African hunting stories. This also, I very much like John Sundra. Hell, I'm still here. 50 years a gun rider. There's actually a lot to learn in here too. And it was interesting. I think we'll find Nick Sicily here in just a minute somewhere, unless we already passed Nick Sicily up.
We did.
Did we pass Nick Sicily up already? I believe that he wrote maybe for Pennsylvania Game News and stuff also. I know that he lived back there in that area and stuff, and I remember reading his stuff. This is worth every penny that you pay for it, and this was actually a fairly expensive book, $34. Hilo, take this, please. Put that over. So why is this still here? Take this, put that over. Okay, what do we got here? Facing the Charge. That's fine, put it back.
He did.
I did. Same deal, just a whole bunch of African hunting stories. In all likelihood, I'll never make it to Africa simply because it costs so much, but it wouldn't be for lack of trying. This is actually really good too. You know, Larry Potterfield, the guy that owns Midway, this is volume 2. I didn't read volume 1. It's pretty darn good. He's a pretty good writer, no doubt about it. Okay, now, this one is huge, especially for the time we're living in. Because this is PooTube, I definitely will have to curb what I would like to say here, but I would really like to say something about this book. This is called The Fighting Bunch, The Battle of Athens, How World War II Veterans Won the Only Successful Armed Rebellion Since the Revolution. Let me tell you something, you need to read this book. Every American should read this book. Okay, that's all I can say. I wish I could say more. Awesome book, right? All right, again, this one here, I could literally start crying about this book. This is how important this book is to me. I Was That Masked Man, Clayton Moore, The Lone Ranger. We read this to my daughter, and in fact, she can read it herself now. She's reading so well. But, Hilo, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to not be here. We're talking about the Lone Ranger. Here's the deal with it. At the beginning, he played the Lone Ranger. At the end, he was the Lone Ranger. That's who he became. And everything you see on there, that was his real character. Read this book. It's amazing. All right, here, come take this. Did you have something you wanted to say about this? Yeah. Come over here then. Hurry up. You're on camera.
It's my favorite book ever.
Here, take it and lay it down. Okay. Yes, awesome. All right, I'm going to have to start going faster here. Some of these aren't as important, but they are important. Everyone that's here is important. But, you know, this is just everything about World War II. Okay, citizen soldiers. Hilo, come and take this, please. You need to move faster now. We're going to overheat the camera again. I don't know if I want to go into those quite yet. So this is cool. Records of North America, elk and mule deer. Very good book. Hilo, come on. We're going to go faster. This is actually a really cool book. Idaho's Greatest Mule Deer, 2nd edition. Look at the racks. You know what I mean? And I read, yeah, here's something else I need to tell people. There was a time in my life where I think I was getting every outdoor magazine there was. Like I'm getting like 30 magazines a month. And I would read them cover to cover. And, you know, in the 60s, I better explain that when I say that. So that was all modern magazines. But see, I also had access to binders full of, you know what, we're going to have to stop for a minute. All right, so we had a little bit of interference there we had to take care of. I mean, we've been doing this for hours, and you realize my daughter's only 7, so she doesn't have that, she's really good, but she doesn't have that level of discipline. So, Idaho's Greatest Mule Deer, 2nd edition. Look at the racks. That's what I was talking about. And I was talking about reading magazines. I used to get all the magazines, literally all of them. But also there was a really cool period in my time where I went to, doesn't matter, I was going to a library and they had all the Field and Streams and I believe all the Outdoor Lives in binders. Like binders, year by year by year. And I'm talking about racks of them, decades. And I sat there and read them all. And that's not an exaggeration. That is not hyperbole. I sat there and read them all, cover to cover to cover. Days, day after day after day, which went into, I read them all. And the thing about it is, in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, there was guys that didn't shoot 30-inch mule deer because that was too little. If it was a 30-inch 4-point mule deer that would have scored 190, they didn't shoot it. That was a baby. They were waiting for a big one that was 36 or 38 inches wide and scored 240. And if you doubt what I just said, get this book and look in here. The pictures, the research. This guy went to these people's houses. This is the kind of deer we're talking about. Okay? That deer scores... that deer only, that can't be right. Oh, it's the rank. That's number 160. I'm like, that's not what that scores. I don't even see where. Oh, right here. That deer scores 240. 240-inch mule deer. And you're like, well, that's the exception. No, look. Okay, this whole book is filled with monster mule deer. All right, and the thing is, they were all over the place. When I first came to Riggins, Idaho, I saw lots of bucks that were in the 200-inch range, lots of them. And I saw a few from a distance, you know. But I always had good glass. I always had good glass since the very beginning. I knew, Bob Bell taught me that. Bob Bell taught me that if you're going to buy binoculars, buy the very best you can. If you're going to buy scopes, buy the very best you can afford. And I bought stuff I couldn't afford because I wanted good glass. But I saw mule deer that were probably 250 inches, maybe even bigger, you know, and I saw them from a distance, and I did not kill them, by the way. The biggest deer I've ever killed is about 200 inches, but biggest mule deer. And it wasn't the rule, but it wasn't the exception. You saw bucks like that. You try finding a buck like that now. You just try it. I'm not saying there isn't one or two in a whole mountain range. There is. They still kill some decent deer, but not like this. There was huge bucks everywhere. Okay, that's got to go. And so Vicky's going to now be the one that starts moving books out of here. And actually, that ain't going to work. Hilo, you want to come back and help us?
Yes.
All right, well, get out here. You got to be on the ball, though. You ready? Okay, so records of North American big game, my God, 1988. Half of these records have probably fallen since then, but same deal. It shows you just what there was. Okay. I'm not really a fisherman, but I do fish, definitely. I like to fish the high lakes, and I like to fish for trout. Take that. It's just things I have. Outdoor Life, Deer Hunter's Yearbook. Here, come on, Hilo, we got to keep moving. This is a good book. And this was a good guy. He knew a lot. I've read this book many times. You can learn a lot about elk in here. That's definitely a good book. This is just here because I even do this. I still have a Class A CDL, and partly I knew the guy that wrote the manual. So anyways, this is, you know, we have horses. A lot of people, I don't know if you know that or not, but right now we have 5. We normally have 6. And you can learn an awful lot about this. And I went to horseshoeing school years and years ago. The deal is, this is the position that you work in when you're shoeing horses, like this, right? My back can't handle it. I was actually thinking about doing that as a profession, and it destroys people, by the way. There's very few people that can shoe horses and do it for a full career. I mean, there's people do it. There are some guys, but they're super tough. And it's better if you're about 5'4", and that you weigh about 165, 170, and that you're really, you know, you got to be built a certain way. It's just like basketball. I mean, I can't dunk a ball. It's just, anyways, it didn't work out. But I learned a lot. You know what I mean? I learned a heck of a lot. All right, so some of these are not as important. You'd be like, what the heck is this here for? Secrets about men every woman should know. Hey, if you have daughters, give this book to them, okay? Make their life easier. Put that over there. Here's, you know, you realize I got a wife, so Armed and Female. This is actually, again, if you have a woman, you have a wife, a daughter, who's thinking about, you know, should they start carrying a gun? Which the answer is yes. They should read this book. It's a really good book. This is one of my wife's books. I read it. That's why it's still on this pile. Power of Femininity. Oh, this is actually, some of these are here for my daughter. So you're going to be like, okay, this is Gun Channel, but this is an awesome book. Neil Clark Warren, that's the guy who started eHarmony, Finding the Love of Your Life. I'm going to tell you something. If every person read this book before they got married and they fully understood it and they followed the principles in it, our divorce rate would go from 50% down to 5%. If every person read that book, that's how powerful that book is. Very good. One of the most famous quotes out of that book says, any relationship is only as healthy as the least healthy person in it. And holy cow, is there a lot of truth in that. Geez. Okay, Hilo, you didn't get this one out of the way. So again, if you're married and you're going to have kids, you're just starting out, Guiding Your Family in a Misguided World, Tony Evans. Excellent book. This is definitely way up high, and I'm going to pass this on to my daughter. Excellent book. A lot of people might have heard of John Roseman. He writes a column in magazines, not magazines, newspapers, I believe countrywide, nationwide. A Family of Value. I happen to have 2 of them. Very good book. You want to raise your kids right? Read that book. Some of these I'm saving here. This is a joke. YouTube secrets. Here, you want me to tell you everything you need to know about YouTube secrets? Work like a dog. Expect to make nothing. Get really, really lucky, and maybe you'll cover your expenses. And of course, then the other side of this, there's some people that are multi-millionaires from YouTube. But here's the next thing. You get what we do here? Again, you gotta temper your language. If you do this, you ain't making nothing. And we've been doing this for what, 5-6 years now?
Yeah.
We still, and they show you what you've made, right? We still wouldn't have paid for our cameras in all those years. And like this video that we're doing right here, Vicki has hours worth of editing in it. And this isn't even professional quality, and we're very well aware of that. Here. Anyways, what a joke. What a joke. Unless you want to, you know what, I ain't going there. All right, outdoor tips. It's just all type of outdoor stuff. Take that, Hilo. Outdoor Idaho. Idaho, it's still a great place, but it once was a great place. Here, take that. This, I don't know if we're going to get into this. This is just diet stuff. 2 seconds lean. People will be like, what?
That's not diet stuff.
Oh, no, right. This isn't. Right, I remember what this is. Exactly. This is lean culture.
Yeah.
Right, all right. Okay, ultimate, again, they're here for a reason. I would have got rid of them if they were junk. This book will definitely, if you're an emotional person, you won't get to the end of this without your Kleenexes. That's a fact. Take that. All right, well, I don't know which way to go now, right now. All right, I guess I'm going to go here. All right, you see how many of these I have? I used to give these things away. You just can't believe. So this book also, there's certain things, certain books, if you're a reader, then in your whole life. Hey, Hilo, come here. So this is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Look in the camera. Please tell me, what are the 7 habits?
Be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. You put first things first. Think win-win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Synergize. Sharpen the saw. Yes.
So this book has been a powerful influence in my life. And the shame of that is he died in a bicycle accident way before that he should have. He was going down the hill and crashed. And if you haven't read this book, again, in 1,500 books or more, maybe I've read 2,000 books, this would be in the top 10. There's no doubt about it. All right, can you take that whole stack?
No.
No?
I'm going to go 2 by 2.
All right, you take that. Okay, now we're getting through here. So this, you want to know what's going on in our country? This will tell you. And that's what I'll say about that. It's definitely worth reading. Coming Apart, Charles Murray. Okay? And by the way, all this stuff, everything that's happening, and I'm not just talking about biblically, everything that is happening, you could see it coming a mile away. You could see it coming like a freight train down the tracks. Okay, Dennis Prager is one of my favorite people, and I use his quote quite a lot. One of Dennis Prager's, he says this all the time. He said, what's he say? He says, I despise humanity at large, but there are a few individual humans that I admire greatly. And boy, I mean, truer words have never been spoken. This is a great book. Same deal. And if you should read. If you're an American, you should read that. Mark Levin, Men in Black. This will disturb you. There's a ton of truth, but it will disturb you. Let's just put it this way: this is not the country that the founders envisioned. Read it. Okay, here's another one. Mark Levin, American Marxism. Same deal. Mark Levin's an excellent writer, an excellent technical writer. I mean, he gets his facts straight. Very good. Very, very good. Now, this was a strange book. I didn't think I would like this book, okay? It's One Thought Scares Me, Richard Dreyfuss. And I will say, there's a couple things in here that were less than optimum from our point of view. You see our NRA thing, you see our flag, you see, there's a couple things but overall, he got it pretty right. It's definitely worth reading. Here, take this. You have to pay attention. Now, obviously, I can't say a dang word about this, or we'll be cut off instantly. Okay? Take that. You should definitely read it. This is a really good book. This guy writes for the NRA publications, and it's a really good book. This will make a man of you. One Man's Search for Hemingway and Manhood in a Changing World. It's quite good. And you don't have to go run with bulls. You can just read it. Okay? Get going, Hilo, because I got something to tell them about this one. Okay, so you guys probably know who this is. Gunny's Rules. Emery. I don't know. It's Emery. I think it's how you pronounce it. Anyways, come here, Hilo. So what's our saying? Unless you're
30 minutes.
Look into the camera.
Unless you're 30 minutes early, you're already too late.
Unless you're 30 minutes early, you're already late. And of course, there's a whole bunch of really good rules for living in that book. Same deal. That's pretty much a must-read book. All right, now I just don't know which way to go here. These are taking me so many places.
You're halfway through the table.
Pardon me?
You're halfway through the table.
Yeah, I got to go faster. So Climb High, Climb Far. These are like inspirational type books. Zen in the Martial Arts. Yes. The Magic of Thinking Big. This is a good book. This is an old book. It's a very good book. David Schwartz. Okay, Hilo, take 3 at a time. Now these are some of the most powerful things that have been in my life. C.S. Lewis, The Problem of Pain. C.S. Lewis, Miracles. I have a bunch of C.S. Lewis. What's this? Oh, This Present Darkness. Frank Peretti. That's also a really good one. Here, take these, Hilo. This actually, again, these are, I'm running out of adjectives to explain what I should be telling you. The Words of Gandhi. Now again, if you don't know Gandhi, if you haven't read Gandhi, you have to take the good with the bad, but there's an awful lot of good. I mean, there really is, and it's Gandhi, an autobiography. You won't forget it, let's put it that way. And it's definitely worth your time. Put that down, please. Okay, Everyday Zen. The Dog Ate My Homework. Okay, take that. This one, you will not forget this one. Marine Sniper, 93 confirmed kills. It's basically the story of Carlos Hathcock. Very, very interesting. There's parts in there that will haunt you, literally. Hilo, come take this. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a point in my life where I actually spent a lot of time. I had one truly excellent dog. Now, I won't say that she wasn't a national level, field trial level lab, but she was close. And I did most of my training with this game dog, Richard A. Wolders, and this book right here. I don't know how many guys remember this, but Hey Pup, Fetch It Up. It's Bill Tarrant, and he wrote, I think, for Field and Stream. For years and years, I read all his stuff before I bought this book. This book is not about training dogs. It is, but it isn't. This book is about training horses, training dogs, training children, training, period. This book is a book of wisdom, and it really is. It's an excellent book. I use things in there every day with my daughter. Hey, pup, fetch it up. Take that, put that over. Okay, now, again, we're getting into heavy duty stuff here. So, same deal. All I can say is you should read it. Take the good with the bad. Now, I can't think of his name. What did he always say? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. What was his name? I can't remember that guy's name.
I don't know.
Kent Hovind.
Oh, yeah.
Kent Hovind. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Same deal, but there's definitely some good meat there. This is also excellent. Moving along with Charles Dickey. More Wisdom, Wild Tales, and Wacky Wit. Take that. Now, same deal. I can't talk about a lot of this stuff because of PooTube. Just read the title. Can you see it, Vicki?
I'm trying to get the glare off there.
I don't know if I should say it. What every American needs to know about the Quran. Just read this. Okay? Read it. All right. This is excellent. You're raising children, the triple package. Amy Chua, I guess. If you're raising children, read this book and understand why some people have excellent outcomes and most people don't. There's a reason. Take that. Okay, same deal. Thomas Sowell. I mean, we started hearing and learning about Thomas Sowell off of G. Gordon Liddy, when G. Gordon Liddy was on the radio. When I started reading Thomas Sowell books, and where they are, I don't know, there's more. Thomas Sowell is a very, very smart man. Very smart man. Here, take that. A lot of wisdom in Thomas Sowell. Liberal Lies About the American Right, Ann Coulter. Same deal. Good book. I don't know, I wouldn't put it in my top 10, but good book. This is very good. The American Story, Conversations with Master Historians. You want to learn stuff, David Rubenstein. Very good book. Very good book. It would definitely make my top 100, no doubt about that. So now, here, you know what? I think I'm going to do those before I do these. Let's go this way, right here. So, G. Gordon Liddy, when I was a kid, this was a free country. If you want to know what America was like, read this book. And I have both. Why, I don't know, but it looks like I've marked up the hard copy more. So that is excellent. Take that, Hilo. This is Will G. Gordon Liddy. It's his autobiography. Outstanding book. Come on, Hilo, you got to go faster. Here. Okay. These are excellent. These are the Pigs, Politically Incorrect Guide to the Founding Fathers. Excellent, especially if you're raising kids. Politically Incorrect Guide to the Constitution. Outstanding. Politically Incorrect Guide to Real American Heroes. Outstanding. Politically Incorrect Guide to the Bible. Outstanding. These are excellent books. They really are. If you're to the Bible, yes. If you're raising kids, these are very good books. Okay, take that. All right, now, leave these alone.
Okay.
Okay, so this is way back at the beginning of my journey, and I probably have given my original way, but Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, same deal. Powerful, powerful thoughts in here. I have two of these. I don't know if you've ever actually read A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens. I mean, is it any wonder it's legend. I mean, it's really awesome. And to read it rather than just watch it, reading it, it really brings some more to it. It really does. This is also an excellent book. Glenn Beck, The Immortal Nicholas. Really good. And that is a novel. By the way, I said I didn't read novels. Well, I lied. There's one that I did read. And here's actually another one, Black Beauty. This is not a novel. And this book right here, you should really read this because this shows what can be done. I mean, he's the outlier. America the Beautiful, and that's Ben Carson. Okay, everybody should know who Ben Carson is. Very good book. Glenn Beck's Common Sense. Wait a second, Hilo. Inspired by Thomas Paine. Very good book. Okay, Glenn Beck's The Original Argument. This is the Federalist, off of the Federalist Papers. Very good. Okay, you can take those. This is excellent. Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Outstanding. Now, these, here, take this. So if I had to make my top, say my top 20 books, these would go in my all-time top 20. My life's work, or it's my end work, Henry Ford. You have to read this book. If out of all these on the table, this is definitely one of the ones you have to read. These books, it's just amazing. It's just two different versions of the exact same book. Henry Ford was an amazing person. And it is not just amazing for his cars and his assembly line and all that. No, he did so much in such big ways, it will astound you. It'll astound you what he did. And his thought process, I mean, it's just amazing. And so here's Henry Ford, Today and Tomorrow. Again, outstanding. And look at this. Look at this. This is an original Today and Tomorrow. I almost don't even want to open it. Look how old it is. Okay, that's probably one of the reasons why I have that one, so that I can actually, use it and not beat it up. But these are some of the best books that I've ever read. That's a fact. Okay, please don't drop these. You got it? Yep. Take it. Okay, go. All right, now, where are we at here?
You're at 34% in battery.
How much?
34.
34 left?
Yeah.
My God, we've been at this for hours. Again, one of my most favorite books. Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins. I mean, just amazing book. Again, everybody should read this, right? Again, why I have two, I don't know. Obviously, I haven't succeeded at this. Money, master of the game. It's like, I know all the principles, but I just can't do it. Change or Die. These are kind of like business books. Very, very good. This one is very good. This is the guy that owns Hobby Lobby, David Green. I've only read this recently. It's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. Leadership Not by the Book. Wow. It is really good. Same deal. This would be up in my top, maybe my top 20 or 30 ever. Go ahead and take that. Deep Dive. It's the same deal. It's more business strategy and stuff. I mean, I wish I actually had a business where the people made money. Okay, but you just don't. Okay, Influencer, the power to change anything. Well, yes and no. There's things you just can't change. Take that. Take that. All right. So let's go here now. Okay. You know, I don't know if you've ever received a letter or anything from me. I tried to get my writing correct, and that's off over there on the wall. It says, if you can't do the little things right, you'll never do the big things right. Well, writing is as important as reading. You should be able to write. And so this is an excellent book, one of my most favorite. How to Write a Sentence and How to Read One. Very good. Stanley Fish. I mean, that's a good, if you want to learn communication, better than I'm doing it here now, much better. These also are at the beginning of my journey. Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world. You will need Kleenexes. Og Mandino, The Return of the Rag Picker. This is a very special book, and I can't go into why, but if there's someone watching this, just remember, I think of you every day. Okay? So Og Mandino, Secrets for Success and Happiness. Outstanding. This book also, I would put this maybe in my top 10 or top 15. D. James Kennedy, What If Jesus Had Never Been Born? Read this book. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. Take that. The Parables of Jesus. Now I'm making a big switch here. I mean, there's no segue into this. Frank and Christian Zane, The Zane Way to Beautiful Body Through Weight Training, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot here. Take this one, and then I'll add these two in this. So take that, please.
Space.
That's fine. Keep stacking. So this is really one of the most influential books I've ever read. Arnold, The Education of a Bodybuilder. And his... Here's the thing, though, about this. And again, I got to choose my words very carefully. So what if someone gave you a formula? And the formula is exactly valid, but they don't tell you one critical piece of it. And the critical piece is the piece that you must have to achieve the results that you are trying to achieve. So, you know, there's, what quote is that? That it says, I can't think of what that quote is. That we must strive for blah, 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 and that that's the journey that's actually the most important part. Well, I agree with that. So all the information is good. And again, I can't even say the word on PooTube. But he leaves out the one thing that you have to achieve that result. And to a kid, when you're 22, 23, 24, 25 years old, and you're highly motivated and a little bit obsessive.
You're not talking about you, are you?
No, of course not. I'm not talking about me. What I'm saying is if you're getting up at 4 in the morning and you're training until 6 in the morning, and then you're going to work, and then you're coming back home, and then you're training again at 6 in the evening, and you're training until 9 at night, and you do that every single day for years, and you go to Thanksgiving and you eat the turkey, and that's it. You don't get the stuffings. You don't get pie. You deny yourself, push yourself harder and harder and harder. You're doing crazy things, like pushing the pickup up the road. Your wife's driving the pickup and you're pushing it up the road 5 miles. Then you're turning around and pushing it back. And you keep pushing and pushing and pushing harder and harder and harder, because Arnold says the only reason that you're not Mr. Olympia is because you're not working hard enough. and you're a really naive person, you're like, well, I must not be working hard enough. Okay, he must be so superhuman that he can just outwork me. Because you're working for years and years, and you step on the scale, and you're like, okay, I literally worked myself almost to death. And in a whole year, I gained 10 pounds of muscle. That's it, 10 pounds. And he's like, oh, well, let me tell you something. This is like the 308 Winchester. I love these, and I hate this. Because it was literally, again, I might be the most naive person in the world, but I just took him at his word. And I thought it was like an instruction manual. You do this, this is the result you get. Yeah, but there's one important part that he didn't bother to tell you. And it caused me to, again, the work ethic and everything. Here, don't drop this. That was all great. But the piece he left out, watch, she's going to drop that. The piece he left out, that just might happen to be the biggest part of the puzzle. All right? I remember those years. Okay. Again, I don't even know what section we're in now. This is a funny one, actually, and it's good. How come that idiot's rich and I'm not? Well, there's a lot of dang reasons. Here's another Thomas Sowell book, Economic Facts and Fallacies. Outstanding book. Thomas Sowell, I really like him. He'd be someone I would like to sit down and just, spend a day with talking to. Wall Street's Forbidden Income Secrets. Yeah, right. Okay, this is almost like the Arnold book. Yeah, there's a whole lot of information here, but they leave one critical part out. Here, take that. This is actually really good. If you have kids, this is a Dave Ramsey associate, debt-free degree. Again, there's too much to go into. Retired and free. I'll work till I'm 90. I'll probably die in this lathe. They'll come in one day and I'll just be like wrapped around the spindle and they'll be like, there he is. That's the end of that. Okay, this is excellent. If you have children and you're thinking about sending them to college, before you do it, you should read The College Scam. This is an outstanding book. And this is a book I've read more recently. And I would put this also up in the top 30, definitely. You should read that if you have kids. Okay, I will teach you to be rich. Yeah, well, if you do everything this guy says and you started out when you're 20 and you did it, you had faith, you got to have faith. Yes, it would work. This actually is a really good book. Alchemy. Okay. Rory Sutherland. Very good book. And of course, here's Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University, which this you follow this works. Okay? All right, can you take all those at once?
No.
No? All right, here. Here, you take what you can. All right, now, here we go. Now we're starting to get into really heavy-duty books.
You're at 21%.
One at a time, Hilo, get going.
Do you want to stop and switch the battery? You're at
Why? Where are we at?
21.
21%? No, let's keep going. Okay, so Philip Yancey, The Jesus I Never Knew. Excellent book. D.L. Moody, Dwight Lyman Moody, The Overcoming Life. Excellent book. All right, so here we go now. This is in my top 5. It might be in my top 3. It might be the one book I would take on a deserted island, the only book, maybe. G.K. Chesterton, Orthodoxy. I don't know if you've ever met a genius or read a genius. G.K. Chesterton, when he's done, he's like C.S. Lewis, except maybe even better. When he's done, there's nothing else to say. He's covered everything. There is no stone left unturned. If you have not read Orthodoxy, you absolutely have to read Orthodoxy. And see, I've got 2 copies of Orthodoxy. Here, Hilo, be very careful with those. Okay. Can Man Live Without God? Ravi Zacharias, same deal. I really used to like, he's died, by the way. I like listening to Ravi Zacharias on the radio. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, In the Midst of Wickedness, read it. This also would be in maybe my top 3 or top 4 ever. The Cost of Discipleship, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. The 10 Commandments, Twice Removed. Just read it. I got 2. Oh my God, I got 3 of those. That's because I give these away. Corrie ten Boom, In My Father's House, The Years Before the Hiding Place. You need to read that. Chuck Swindoll, Strike the Original Match. Outstanding. Here, take this. Okay, Is Jesus the Only Way? I got 2 of those. Revival Year Sermons. That's C.H. Spurgeon. 7 Snares of the Enemy. Excellent. Erwin Lutzer. It was funny, where we used to live, we could get Erwin Lutzer on the radio. That's Moody Bible Institute, right? He's
Right.
the pastor there. Man, I like Erwin Lutzer. Holy cow, same deal. He would be someone I would love to spend just days talking to. Beyond Belief to Conviction. This is just a little book, Josh McDowell. By the way, there's Josh McDowell books that I haven't seen. I don't know where they are. More Than a Carpenter. Where's More Than a Carpenter? I don't know. Okay, what do we got here?
You have 17%. You might want to.
All right, so she's saying my battery's running out, so we'll be back in a minute.
We are running.
Okay, so the battery basically went dead again and the camera keeps overheating. We've been here now for almost 3 hours, right?
Right.
3 hours? Okay, so I'll put this back. All right, so we're getting near the end here. So as some of you may know, Vicky had cancer, and the oncologist walked in the room like 1 or 2 days after Hilo was born, and he said, "Get your stuff together, you got 60 days to live." And it has been now like 7.5 years. So there's a whole lot that went into that, but that is probably one of the subjects that I studied harder than any other thing, because we knew we weren't going mainstream orthodox standard of care, because if you look at the type of cancer she had and you look at the tables, I think those are called actuary tables, the survival rate is like 0.2%. So pretty much everybody dies. And so I figured, well, if everybody does the same thing and everybody dies, let's find people who did different things and lived. And here we are 7.5 years later. Now, I mean, she's had problems and stuff, but she's still here and she's still alive. And so Hilo has a mom. So this is some of this stuff. There was so much. So this is nutrition books. The Sports Nutrition Bible. Take this, Hilo. This is the Acid Alkaline Food Guide, which we messed around with a lot. Take that, Hilo. This is the book really that started us on our path. This helped us enormously. You'd think, really, Suzanne Summers? This book, Knockout Doctors Who Are Curing Cancer. She started us down a path. She started us on a trail that led us to many other trails. And it took us some very good places, which I believe is one of the reasons why Vicky's alive. We were very naive when Vicky got cancer because we didn't really know anything about it. And when we found these books, Vicky'd be like, look at this, to her doctor. They wouldn't even pay attention to you. They wouldn't listen to you. I don't want to make all-encompassing statements, generalized statements, but to a large degree, every oncologist that we encountered wanted nothing to do with anything other than standard of care, mainstream medicine. And the thing is, and you'll say to them, well, did that person, no, they all died. They all died. But these people are all living. And it's like, you'd think you'd want that information? They did not. They did not. So let that be a warning to you if you end up having to go down this road, which I sincerely hope you never do. Here, take that. Again, just books. The Metabolic Effect Diet, pretty dang good. This was really good. Radical Remission. And you might notice this is a PhD person, so not MDs. As I dug deeper and deeper into the literature and I went deep trying to find answers, I found more positive outcomes with the PhD scientific community than I did with the MD medical community, by far and away. It wasn't even close. And it was really weird. As I was doing tons of internet research, same deal. I sort of got into the PhD scientific literature by accident, but then suddenly it's just like the light bulb went on. And boy, we started to learn a lot of stuff. Okay, so this is just a book. It's nothing. It's valid information. Green Smoothie Diet. Cured. 81 Natural Cures. This is actually pretty darn good. By the way, on YouTube, you know, there's people we watch on YouTube too. One of my absolute favorites is Dr. Eric Berg. Watch Dr. Eric Berg. I have skin tabs because this right here, this is metabolic syndrome, and I've been fighting it for a long time. Anyways, I had skin tabs, and he told you, mix up this mixture of, what was it, iodine and garlic, and put it on your skin tab and put a Band-Aid over it. Guess what? It fell off.
It's gross.
No joke. It was gross. Yes. Here, take that. Okay, so Perfect Health Diet. Again, you notice PhD people. This is actually a really good book. Out of all these, if you're looking for a nutrition book, this is probably one of the best. Hilo, come on, you're getting behind. Okay. Guide to Healthy Eating. Rethinking Cancer. This is was an excellent book. Options in the Fight Against Cancer. I mean, these people live. This guy also, we actually had contact with this guy. The Forsyth Anti-Cancer Diet. He's retired now, by the way. A lot of these people were retired. That was good. Defeat Cancer. This was also a really excellent book. Right, here's the name. Connie Strasheim. Here. This book is actually, I would put this way at the top of the list, only because he's teaching you to think outside the lines. This is an out-of-the-box type book. Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And this is profound. There's no doubt about it. I don't know. No, I'm ambivalent about this because there's some really great stuff. But then there's some other stuff. Again, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Okay, that was a good one. This is just a diet book. This actually was a good one. No, it's the same way. It's those same PhD people. That's a husband and wife. Take both of those. This one actually is pretty darn good too. I just sent this to my brother. My brother is younger than I am. He just had triple bypass surgery. Well, if you'd read these dang things and then do it, you understand? Just reading it, you have to be more proactive. You have to do what they say. That guy is a cardiac surgeon, I believe, and yeah, he's a heart surgeon, and he's like, do all this stuff and don't come to see me. That way you won't be on the operating table. This book, there's a ton of really good information in this, but this guy is really a green guy. He's just like, he wants you to live on salad, and that I do not believe, and all the information we've gathered. By the way, there's another guy on YouTube, Dr. Ken Berry. He's an MD. I like him also, and I like Sten Eckbert. Eckbert, I believe is how you pronounce it. So, Dr. Eric Berg, Ken Berry, and Sten Eckbert. Really good information that helped us a lot with Vicky's cancer. The Cancer Revolution. This is also a very good book. Okay. The Maker's Diet. The Menopause Switch. I don't know why that's even in here. I guess I was having problems at that time. Okay, we got two of them even. This is a really good book. Let Food Be Your Medicine, Don Colbert, MD. This is an old book, really good one. This is another one that when we were in the cancer journey, you know, that is, she used to be on Taxi, yes. You know, she's an actress. But her husband got cancer, and she did basically the same thing. She's just like, okay, I'm just going to look at all the data, and I'm going to see who lives and who dies. Well, what did the people who lived do, and what did the people who died do? And she's like, okay, we're going outside the mainstream, outside standard of care. And I don't know if he's still alive, but he was alive and doing well. Okay, take that. There's a big stack. Okay, so, yep, take it. That's basically all our cancer books. My whole thing on cancer is do your own research. Don't just listen to the doctor if you want to live. Come with me if you want to live. Okay, now we're starting to get into some really, really important books. This is funny. Chuck Norris Cannot Be Stopped. Okay, that's a very important book. If ever you have to own this book. Camp Craft, believe it or not, pretty darn important book. Very old. You know, I'm actually going to set these aside for a second. So this book right here goes definitely in my all-time top 5, I would say. Self-Made in America. Read this book. Read this book and do it. I try to get Vicky to do what he says. I mean, you got to do it. But outstanding, outstanding. I want to make sure people see this. Self-Made in America, John McCormick. Well, definitely in my top 5. Here, take that. Put that over, thank you. Now, here, take these two. Go ahead. Now, this is my original. See this? See how it's beat? It's all broken and everything. This is our new one. The Moral Compass, William J. Bennett. Again, I'll start blubbering, okay? So I can't really do that. If you have children, buy this book. Read this book to them. Try to read it every single day to them. And I tell you what, you will have extraordinary children, and it will benefit you also. There's my favorite story in this whole book, and there's literally, see the size of that book? There's hundreds of them, is Leo Tolstoy, What Men Live By. Leo Tolstoy, What Men Live By. I've never made it to the end of that without breaking down. It is so powerful. These books, those go in my coffin.
What it is?
Okay, put them over there, please. Be careful. Be careful. All right, now, so there's that. Now, again, I mean, this really starts to get to me. So this is my original Boy Scout handbook. And I had this, I definitely had it when I was 12. I don't know whether I had it when I was 11 or 10. And this is the Boy Scout field book. And these are very old, very, very old. I want to tell you something about this. You know, when you don't have role models and you have to pick your own, things like this, like the Boy Scout manual, can be incredibly powerful. And my daughter, come here, Hilo. Come over, hurry up. So, put up your scout sign and tell me the scout law.
A scout is trustworthy, loyal, hopeful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Yes. And so, well, there's so much I could say about this. These also will go in my coffin.
What's a coffin?
Well, a coffin's a box that they bury people in. It's hard to put into words how important this stuff was to me. But what I was going to say is, and by the way, I didn't, and that's I have very few regrets in my entire life, but I did not make Eagle Scout. And I came so close. If I would only spend another, just probably a matter of weeks, I would have made it. But I will tell you something, and I have found this, you know, I'm 62 years old, and I have found this to be true. Wait, I might still want these. You find someone who's an Eagle Scout. You'll see it on people's bios. Say you're looking to hire a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or anybody. You're looking to hire someone. And you'll look it up. And maybe the guy's 70 years old, you know, and you're looking to hire him. And you'll see right on his bio there. And the first thing it says is Eagle Scout. It's a different class of people. And honest to God is. And it is not. It's like, you know, like they say, like the Marines. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Let me tell you something. Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout. And the fact that the left has tried to take scouting away from us, from America, that's one of the most evil, hideous things that they have ever done. These books changed my life. And that whole trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Okay. All right, so now this is the same deal. Not quite as powerful as those, but this is pretty powerful. So this is called River of No Return. And if you remember earlier, we saw that, River of No Return. And so Elmer Keith lived on the North Fork of the Salmon River, and he in the country that he hunted and everything is where I moved to when I came to the West. I went to Riggins, Idaho, which was at that time a very, very remote, incredible place. I mean, the fishing, world class. The hunting, there was so many elk and deer and bears and there was everything. Just so many animals. But we know what there wasn't? Wolves. There was no wolves. And there was elk everywhere. Please put that down, Hilo.
You wrote on it.
Hilo? And she made me lose my train of thought. This part of this book also, because of Elmer Keith, because Jack O'Connor lived in Lewiston, that is how partly that I ended up in Idaho. And it was better than you could even imagine. And this right here, Idaho, for the curious, I mean, these are such, look how huge. Idaho is an incredible state. Now, the truth is, if I could go back and do it over, if I knew the future, I would actually go to Wyoming now, because there's less people in Wyoming. I never thought, 30, 40 years ago, I never thought people would be pouring into Idaho. I just assumed nobody even knows where Idaho is. I mean, they didn't even know where it was. And the conception of what, the perception of what Idaho was totally wrong. It was like paradise. It really was. It was an awesome place. Unless you need to make a living. It was not so great for that. It never was. Economically, this is a very weak state. But these books, this River of No Return, you want to read a really great book. It's pretty amazing. Hilo, please take that. All right, now, and I'm going to need that one over here. Please hand that one over here. So this classic Carmichael, Stories from the Field, Jim Carmichael. Do-it-yourself gunsmithing, Jim Carmichael. But this one, Jim Carmichael's Book of the Rifle. And I want to, here, you want me to hold it slower?
Yeah.
Jim Carmichael's Book of the Rifle. And I want to show you something in here. And again, I got to be very careful. It says, to my long-range shooting pal, Scott Harold, with all the best, Jim Carmichael. And the deal is, and I've told this story on camera and other places, but one of the best experiences of my life is I got to go to Jim Carmichael's house, and I got to stay there for 3 days. I got to go to his office where he wrote all of his articles. I got to go got to go shooting with him. I got to go to his house. I got to go to his gun room. And again, there's no way. You can't imagine. Of all the people that I have physically met in my life and like shook their hands, spent time with them, Jim Carmichael he's a genius. He's a bona fide, full-blown, absolute genius. I could talk for hours on what I experienced just in those 3 days. But he is off the chart. There's just no way. Get the book, read the book, read everything he's like Jack O'Connor. And you realize he took Jack O'Connor's job at Outdoor Life. I mean, read everything both of these men ever wrote. There's so much knowledge. Jack O'Connor may have been more of a hunter and more of a wordsmith. But Jim Carmichael, as far as expertise and knowing his craft and knowing guns, no, Jim Carmichael was a gun guy. That's probably the highest compliment I could pay him. Jim Carmichael was a gun guy. Is a gun guy. As far as I know, he's still alive. All right, and so this has been now hours and hours and hours. I don't know whether we're going to put it. Hilo, you don't need to do that. Let it sit. So there's one book that I am not going to say anything about. But of course, it's the most important book. It's in this leather binder. It's the single most important book that's ever been written. If you haven't read it, read it.